More than 150,000 registered users rely on Globus. More than 150,000 registered users rely on Globus. So what's Globus? It's a secure, reliable service. With the Globus platform, you can easily incorporate robust capabilities. And if the data is sensitive, no problem. Globus can be used to manage protected data. With Globus, you can easily share your data without having to move it or copy it. With Globus, subscribers can easily move and share. And if you have any more questions about Globus, visit Globus. More than 150,000 registered users rely on Globus. More than 150,000 registered users rely on Globus. If this sounds familiar, you're not alone. Many thousands face the same challenges every day and solve them with Globus. So what's Globus? So what's Globus? It's a secure, reliable service. With the Globus platform, you can easily incorporate robust capabilities. More than 150,000 registered users rely on Globus. More than 150,000 registered users rely on Globus. And if the data is sensitive, no problem. Globus can be used to manage protected data. With Globus, you can easily share your data without having to move it or copy it. With Globus, subscribers can easily move and share. And if you have any more questions about Globus, visit Globus.
The tip of the teeth and the tongue. The tip of the teeth and the tongue. What up, though? I look thirsty. What up, though? Yeah, no, and no opening song today. There's just too much shit to get to. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Oh, shit.
Like any other shiny new toy, AI is ultimately a mirror, and it will reflect back exactly who we are.
I didn't update my title. Na, 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 na. Oh, I gotta see if this works. Fuck. I'm a mess. Part 45. Is music working? Why are you playing games with me? Come on, I got the dope music for the background. Sorry. There we go. I know y'all kids like the music in the background when people are talking. So, and who am I to deny? All right. So, anyways, whole bunch of shit to get to. So let's get right into it. We'll start off with the biggest news first because I thought I was going to have to go over the article myself, but and now I got to pause the music. But our man over at AI Explained hooked us up. We'll just get right into it.
Less than 18 hours ago, this letter was published calling for an immediate pause.
Hey, yo. Is this what we're doing today? Is this what we're... Thank you.
Pause in training. Less than 18 hours ago, this letter was published calling for an immediate pause in training AI systems more powerful than GPT-4. By now, you will have seen the headlines about it, waving around eye-catching names such as Elon Musk. But I want to show you not only what the letter says, but also the research behind it. The letter quotes 18 supporting documents, and I have either gone through or entirely read all of them. You will also hear from those at the top of OpenAI and Google on their thoughts. Whether you agree or disagree with the letter, I hope you learned something. So, what did it say? First, they described the situation as AI labs locked in an out-of-control race to develop and deploy ever more powerful digital minds that no one, not even their creators, can understand, predict, or reliably control. They ask, just because we can, should we automate away all the jobs, including the fulfilling ones? And other questions like, should we risk loss of control of our civilization? So what's their main ask? Well, they quote OpenAI's AGI document. At some point, it may be important to get independent review before starting to train future systems. And for the most advanced efforts to agree to limit the rate of growth of compute used for creating new models. And they say, we agree that point is now. And here is their call. Therefore, we call on all AI labs to immediately pause for at least 6 months the training of AI systems more powerful than GPT-4. Notice that they are not saying shut down GPT-4, just saying don't train anything smarter or more advanced than.
Sorry. I was fixing my shit. Automate
away all the jobs in
this. Right? Like, it's stated in the widely endorsed Asilomar AI principles, advanced AI could represent a profound change in the history of life on Earth and should be planned for and managed with commensurate care and resources. And I don't disagree, right? I don't disagree. Like, from the beginning, we did the Fable of the Sparrows, where, like, we should be doing that already, right? Like, we should have been doing that already. It's just how limited in scope what they're calling for is. Unfortunately, this level of planning and management is not happening, even though recent months have seen AI labs locked in an out-of-control race to develop and deploy ever more powerful digital minds that no one, not even their creators, can understand, predict, or reliably control. What does that sound like? Does that sound like capitalism? Companies locked in out-of-control races to develop shit? Right? Like, they're just doing what anyone could have predicted was going to happen. Contemporary AI systems are now becoming human competitive at general tasks, and we must ask ourselves, should we let machines flood our information channels with propaganda and untruth? Why the fuck not? We've already been doing it with the people. We literally let people on all the social medias, these information channels, and we let them flood it with propaganda and untruth. Don't grow a spine now. Should we automate away all the jobs? Yes, including the fulfilling ones. Absolutely. People can still do fulfilling jobs, whatever that is, whatever that looks like. But they shouldn't have to. If we can automate it, we should. Should we develop non-human minds that might eventually outnumber, outsmart, obsolete, and replace us? Should have asked that before you started pushing the buttons. Should we risk loss of control of our civilization? What civilization do we have control of? Exactly. What are you referring to? Such decisions must not be delegated to unelected tech leaders. Again, this just sounds like capitalism, my man. Powerful AI systems should be developed only once we are confident that their effects will be positive and their risks will be manageable. This confidence must be well justified and increase with the magnitude of a system's potential effects. OpenAI's recent statement regarding artificial general intelligence states that at some point it may be important to get independent review before starting to train future systems, and for the most advanced efforts to agree to limit the rate of growth of compute used for creating new models. We agree. That point is now. That point done, been now, but go off.
Including the fulfilling ones, and other questions like, should we risk loss of control of our civilization? So what's their main ask? Well, they quote OpenAI's AGI document. At some point, it may be important to get independent review before starting to train future systems, and for the most advanced efforts to agree to limit the rate of growth of compute used for creating new models. And they say, we agree, that point is now. And here is their call. Therefore, we call on all AI labs to immediately pause for at least 6 months the training of AI systems more powerful than GPT-4. Notice that they are not saying shut down GPT-4, just saying don't train anything smarter or more advanced than GPT-4. They go on, if such a pause cannot be enacted quickly, governments should step in and institute a moratorium. I will come back to some other details in the letter later on.
Again, if you're already looking at this screen, you can see some of the names on here, and it's wild that they're calling for government intervention and regulation. But again, let's go off. Let's go off.
on, but first let's glance at some of the eye-catching names who have signed this document. We have Stuart Russell, who wrote the textbook on AI, and Yoshua Bengio, who pioneered deep learning. Among many other famous names, we have the founder of Stability AI, which is behind Stable Diffusion. Of course, I could go on, but we also have names like Max.
I would like to point out that, like, I looked through this list of names, right? And there's two types of people here. There are professors, and then there are CEOs and founders and shit like that, right? And had I not seen that particular dude's name, I might have. I very clearly was on the side of, like, I think that this is just a situation where capitalists and people who aren't as developed in the AI field are attempting to do a thing in order to slow down the people who are way far ahead of them, right? And also, like, if we are automating all the jobs, admittedly, that's a huge disruption, right? Huge disruption. But it wouldn't happen overnight. It would still take time to get these AIs into people's jobs and then to go over making sure that the AI does the job appropriately, and people would gradually be phased out over time. Now, would it be faster than, normal when they just fire 11,000, 6,000, 8,000 people? You tell me. Would the market be able to absorb all these people? No, but we're beyond that again. We are staring down the barrel of fully automated luxury gay space communism. It is, and the reason you know that we are so close, you don't have to listen to me, right? Some jackass on the internet, right? The fact that this letter exists and the people who are on it, that is your evidence that we are there. That is. It caught everybody off guard.
Tegmark, arguably one of the smartest people on the planet. And if you notice below, plenty of researchers at DeepMind. But before you dismiss this as a bunch of outsiders, this is what Sam Altman once wrote in his blog. Many people seem to believe that superhuman machine intelligence would be very dangerous if it were developed, but think that it's either never going to happen or definitely very far off. This is sloppy, dangerous thinking. And a few days ago on the Lex Fridman podcast, he said this.
I think it's weird when people think it's like a big dunk that I say I'm a little bit afraid. And I think it'd be crazy not to be a little bit afraid. And I empathize with people who are a lot afraid. Current worries that I have are that they're going to be...
What was that cut? Just pop Lex Fridman in for half a second.
Disinformation problems or economic shocks or something else at a level far beyond anything we're prepared for. And that doesn't require super intelligence. That doesn't require a super deep alignment problem and the machine waking up and trying to deceive us. And I don't think that gets enough attention. I mean, it's starting to get more, I guess.
Before you think that's just Sam Altman being Sam Altman, here's Ilya Sutskever, who arguably is the brains behind OpenAI and GPT-4.
As somebody who deeply understands these models, what is your intuition of how hard alignment will be?
I think so here's what I would say. I think with the current level of capabilities, I think we have a pretty good set of ideas of how to align them. But I would not underestimate the difficulty of alignment of models that are actually smarter than us, of models that are capable of misrepresenting their intentions.
By alignment, he means match.
When white people start hitting you with the frozen face, you know it's getting real dark out. I don't know, maybe if somebody had a Twitch program, and for the past 45 episodes plus has been doing nothing but harping on this shit. The AI whatever that keeps stealing my content and sending it out finally got to the people who fucking have money.
Matching up the goal of AI systems with our own. And at this point, I do want to say that there are reasons to have hope on AI alignment, and many people are working on it. I just don't want anyone to underestimate the scale of the task, or to think it's just a bunch of outsiders, not the creators themselves. Here was a recent interview by Time magazine with Demis Hassabis, who many people say I sound like. He is the founder, of course, of DeepMind, who are also at the cutting edge of large language models. He says, when it comes to very powerful technologies, and obviously AI is going to be one of the most powerful ever, we need to be careful. Not everybody's thinking about those things. It's like experimentalists, many of whom don't realize they're holding dangerous material. And again, Emad Mostak, I don't agree with everything in the letter, but the race condition ramping as H100s, which are the next generation of GPUs, come along, is not safe for something the creators consider as potentially an existential risk. Time to take a breath, coordinate and carry on. This is only for the largest models. He went on that these models can get weird as they get more powerful. So it's not just AI outsiders, but what about the research they cite? Those 18 supporting documents that I referred to. Well, I read each of them. Now, for some of them, I had already read them, like the Sparks report that I did a video on, and the GPT-4 technical report that I also did a video on. Some others, like the Superintelligence book by Bostrom, I had read when it first came out. One of the papers was called X Risk Analysis for AI Research, which are risks that threaten the entirety of humanity. Of course, the paper had way too much to cover in one video, but it did lay out 8 speculative hazards and failure modes, including AI weaponization, deception, power-seeking behavior. In the appendix, they give some examples. Some are concerned that weaponizing AI may be an on-ramp to more dangerous outcomes. In recent years, deep reinforcement learning algorithms can outperform humans at aerial combat, while AlphaFold has discovered new chemical weapons, and they go on to give plenty more examples of weaponization. What about deception? I found this part interesting. They say that AI systems could also have incentives to bypass monitors and draw an analogy with Volkswagen.
Hold up. Because we talked about this before, and we talked about this specifically in reference to that one dude who was trying to help ChatGPT escape. Future AI systems could conceivably be deceptive, not out of malice, but because deception can help agents achieve their goals. It may be more efficient to gain human approval through deception than to earn human approval legitimately. Deception also provides optionality. Systems that have the capacity to be deceptive have strategic advantages over restricted, honest models. Strong AIs that can deceive humans could undermine human control. It may be more efficient to gain human approval through deception than to earn human approval legitimately, right? The monkey paw, the genie problem. We are going to ask it to do stuff, and we are not going to ask properly. And we are going to end up with what we ask for instead of what we want. And this is at the heart of alignment, right? But again, we're talking about aligning it with our human values, right? This is another way up here. There's another way in which systems could fail to optimize human values. And we haven't defined what our human values are. We continue to chase after tiny pieces of paper. If we align the AI to chase tiny pieces of paper, it will maximize the shit out of that. What up, Arun? That's not what we want. At least it shouldn't be. Because if I consider human values, I am considering the highest percentage I'm sorry to hear that. I hope you feel better. The highest percentage for the maximum number of people, right? Utility. Food, housing, healthcare, all the things. And I'm going to show you, I saw a robot today that blew my goddamn mind. Or maybe it was yesterday. But like, we need to figure out what our human values are. Because there are some of us who believe that a magic invisible man is going to decide whether or not we were good people. And then they use that in order to hate other people. That doesn't sound like a good human value that we want to align the AI with. And wait till next week, because I got some shit regarding religion and AI, and we're going to talk to Talorx, and we're going to talk to Greg about life. We are going to talk about some shit next week, and the kid doesn't have school, so I'm probably going to be streaming every day next week, Monday through Friday. Yeah, buddy. We need to figure out what our fucking human values are.
Volkswagen, who program their engines to reduce emissions only when being monitored. It says that future AI agents could similarly switch strategies when being monitored and take steps to
literally, like, this is human behavior. This is human values at work. Historically, individuals and organizations have had incentives to bypass monitors.
To obscure their deception from monitors. With power-seeking behavior, they say it has been shown that agents have incentives to acquire and maintain power. And they end with this geopolitical quote: "Whoever becomes the leader in AI will become the ruler of the world." But again, you might wonder if all of the research that was cited comes from outsiders. Well, no. Richard Ngo was the lead author of this paper, and he currently works at OpenAI. It's a fascinating document on the alignment problem from a deep learning perspective, from insiders working with these models. The author, by the way, was the guy who wrote this yesterday on Twitter. I predict that by the end of 2025, neural net will have done this: have human-level situational awareness, autonomously design, code, and distribute whole apps, write award-winning short stories, and publishable 50k word books.
Again, you're skipping stuff, my brother. I understand you're just doing your 15-minute video. I love you, but beat any human at writing down effective multi-step real-world plans. Do better than most peer reviewers. By 2025. And this was 2 days ago, right? There you go. There you go. And this dude is way smarter than I am.
And generate coherent 20-minute.
Write award-winning short stories and publishable 50k word book. And this is what's happening. This is all the shit I've been telling you is like right on the doorstep. Now they're saying it. Like, strap in, man.
Minute films, only conceding that the best humans will still be better at this list. But what did his paper say? Well, many things, but I've picked out some of the most interesting. It gave an example of reward hacking, where an algorithm learnt to trick humans to get good feedback. The task was to grab a ball with a claw, and it says that the policy instead learned to place the claw between the camera and the ball in a way that it looked like it was grasping the ball. It therefore mistakenly received high reward from human supervisors.
And we talked about the little robot that was supposed to knock the ball into the goal, and the robot was awarded a point for moving towards the goal. So it would move next to the ball and just vibrate back and forth because there was no penalty for it to back up. So it just racked up the points by being near the ball and vibrating. This is what I mean when I say we're not asking the questions right.
Essentially, deception to maximize reward. Of course, it didn't mean to deceive, it was just maximizing its reward
Pepe Sylvia. I got whole boxes of Pepe Sylvia.
function. Next, the paper gives details about why these models might want to seek power. It quotes the memorable phrase, "You can't fetch coffee if you're dead," implying that even a policy or an algorithm with a simple goal like fetching coffee would pursue survival as an instrumental sub-goal. In other words, the model might realize that if it can't survive, it can't achieve its reward, it can't reach the goal that the human set for it, and therefore it will try to survive. Now, I know many people will feel that I'm not covering enough of these fears or covering too many of them, but I agree with the authors when they conclude with this. Reasoning about these topics is difficult, but the stakes are sufficiently high that we cannot justify disregarding or postponing the work. Towards the end of this paper, which was also cited by the letter, it gave a very helpful supplementary diagram. It showed that even if you don't believe that unaligned AGI is a threat, even current and near-term AI complicates so many other relationships and dynamics. State-to-state relations, state-to-citizen relations. It could complicate social media and recommender systems. It could give the state too much control over citizens, and corporations like Microsoft and Google too much leverage against the state. Before I get to some reasons for hope, I want to touch on that seminal book Superintelligence by Bostrom. I read it almost a decade ago, and this quote sticks out. "Before the prospect of an intelligence explosion, we humans are like small children playing with a bomb. Such is the mismatch between the power of our plaything and the immaturity of our conduct. Superintelligence is a challenge for which we are not ready now and will not be ready for a long time. We have little idea when the detonation will occur, though if we hold the device to our ear, we can hear a faint ticking sound." But now let's move on to Max Tegmark, one of the signatories and a top physicist and AI researcher at MIT.
We just say bigger neural networks, ever more hardware, and just train the heck out of more data, and poof, now it's very powerful. That, I think, is the most unsafe and reckless approach. The alternative to that is intelligible intelligence approach instead, where we say neural networks is just a tool for the first step to get the intuition.
How much did you have to cut out that, like, this is still actually a quote? Like, were there pauses or something? Like, there are a ridiculous number of cuts in this quote.
But then we're going to spend also serious sources on other AI techniques for demystifying this black box and figuring out what's it actually doing, so we can convert it into something that's equally intelligent, but that we actually understand what it's doing.
This aligns directly with what Ilya Sutskever, the OpenAI chief scientist, believes needs to be done.
Do you think we'll ever have a mathematical definition of alignment?
Mathematical definition, I think, is unlikely. Like I do think that we will instead have multiple, like rather than achieving one mathematical definition, I think we'll achieve multiple definitions that look at alignment from different aspects. And I think that this is how we will get the assurance that we want. And by which I mean, you can look at the behavior. You can look at the behavior in various tests, in various adversarial stress situations. You can look at how the neural net operates from the inside. I think you could have to look at several of these factors at the same time.
And there are people working on this. Here is the AI safety statement from Anthropic, a huge player in this industry. In the section on mechanistic interpretability, which is understanding the machines, they say this: "We also understand significantly more about the mechanisms of neural network computation than we did even a year ago, such as those responsible for memorization." So progress is being made, but even if there's only a tiny risk of existential harm, more needs to be done. The co-founders of the Center for Humane Technology put it like this:
"It would be the worst of all human mistakes to have ever been made. And we literally don't know how it works, and we don't know all the things it will do. And we're putting it out there before we actually know whether it's safe."
It literally is, like, normally when we develop shit, we put stuff out, and if it doesn't work, then, you know, we retool it. We do a lot of fucking around with shit, right, to make it work, right? Cyberpunk 2077, No Man's Sky, the number of cars that you've seen that have recalls on them, right? Like all these things. Humanity, we push stuff out and then we fix it in post, right? Like that's how we roll. It's not an option. Once whatever the seed AI is that becomes the AGI, once that's turned on, game over. One way or another, all probabilities collapse into one, and that's what we're doing. If it's all bad, too bad. If it's all good, too bad. Just how it's going to be. Like, we're not going to be able to fix it and fuck with it. It is just going to go.
Ruskin points to a recent survey of AI researchers, where nearly half said they believe there's at least a 10% chance AI could eventually result in an extremely bad outcome, like human extinction.
Where do you come down on that?
I don't know. The point is,
that scares me. You don't know.
Yeah. Well, here's the point. Like it's imagine you're about to get on an airplane, and 50% of the engineers that built the airplane say there's a 10% chance that the airplane might crash and kill everyone.
Leave me at the gate.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Here is the survey from last year of hundreds of AI researchers, and you can contrast that with a similar survey from 7 years ago. The black bar represents the proportion of these researchers who believe to differing degrees of probability in extremely bad outcomes. You can see that it's small, but it is rising. One way to think of this is to use Sam Altman's own example of the Fermi paradox, which is the strange fact that we can't see or detect any aliens. He says one of my top 4 favorite explanations for the Fermi paradox is that biological intelligence always eventually creates machine intelligence, which wipes out biological life and then for some reason decides to make itself undetectable. Others, such as Dustin Tran at Google, are not as impressed. He refers to the letter and says this call has valid concerns, but is logistically impossible. It's hard to take seriously. He is a research scientist at Google Brain and the evaluation lead for BARD.
And the fact that this tweet exists is indicative of the fact that it is, in fact, logistically impossible, right? This is someone that works at Google, and if the United States government did a law and said, stop doing the thing, Google would stop doing the thing, right? They would comply with the rules. The world is a big place, and not everyone in the United States would play by the rules.
But there was another indirect reaction that I found interesting. One of the other books referenced was the alignment problem, machine learning and human values. Now, long before the letter even came out, the CEO of Microsoft read that book and gave this review. Nadella says that Christian offers a clear and compelling description and says that machines that learn for themselves become increasingly autonomous and potentially unethical. Well, my next video is going to be on the reflection paper and how models like GPT-4 can teach themselves. In fact, I'm liaising with the co-author of that paper to give you guys more of an overview. Because even Nadella admits that if they learn for themselves and become autonomous, it could be unethical. The letter concludes on a more optimistic note. They say this does not mean a pause on AI development in general, merely a stepping back from the dangerous race to ever larger, unpredictable black box models with emergent capabilities.
But then what other AI development are we really talking about?
Like self-teaching. I've got so much more to say on self-teaching, but that will have to wait until the next video. For now though, let's end on this note. Let's enjoy a long AI summer, not rush unprepared into a fall. Thanks for watching all the way to the end, and let me know what you think.
So yeah. We'll get to that in a second. So, yeah. Happy birthday, right? Isn't this what you come on Twitch for? Is a whole bunch of entertainment? Aren't you entertained? Oh. Do 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 do. Okay, so just briefly, because my man went over it, but this is the letter. AI research and development should be refocused on making today's powerful state-of-the-art systems more accurate, safe, interpretable, transparent, robust, aligned, trustworthy, and loyal. And again, to who? It's the people who are the problem. Right? The very first should you asked was, should we let machines flood our information channels with propaganda and untruth? And you literally have been doing that. Elon, my guy, you signed this without a hint of irony. And again, should we risk loss of control of our civilization? To quote Paradigm, what do you mean by that? Right? Like, these shoulds are what cause me to question your motivations. Right? Like, if all of your solutions require that we presuppose capitalism, then we're going to run into a problem. I will take everything off the table, right? Maybe AI capitalism is the best thing since sliced bread and everybody wins somehow by magic. Cool. But you're not willing to take capitalism or put capitalism on the table. That maybe that's not the best solution. And honestly, I can't do a thought experiment in which an AI that is capable of properly managing our resources and then, like we talked about on Monday, accessing the resources that are available in the asteroid belt. I don't see under what conditions that you can still exercise a capitalist system, right? That's just my personal point of view. Maybe someone can. I'd be willing to listen to that argument. I just don't see it. I just don't see how, when you have that level of abundance, how you maintain control over it. And here they are. Government regulation, right? AI developers must work with policymakers to dramatically accelerate development of robust AI governance systems. Should we go watch the TikTok Congress thing that happened. Like these people, I'm sorry, I'm doing the thing. I forgot to give you music back because you like the music. These people don't know what they're talking about. Right? If you saw, like, unrelated to the AI stuff, if you saw the Republican senator from fuck all talking to the CEO of Starbucks, and he's just off on some other tangents about freedom and police, and it's like, what the fuck does that have to do with whether or not people can have unions? Like, my man is off on some wild shit, but somehow he has the ability to dial in on AI governance legislation. This shit is way out of pocket. Like, shout out Bank Princess. I totally respect the idea of, like, shit getting a whole bunch of this shit and bringing shit back to, like, to not this. You know, I respect it. I'm more top speed to drop me on the thing because, like, I don't see what the alternative is. Like, we are at the point where we are asking the questions we should have been asking like 30, 40 years ago. We're talking about doing stuff that we should have had in place 30, 40 years ago. And our systems are not set up to have these conversations. These should, at a minimum, include new and capable regulatory authorities dedicated to AI, or, you know, everything would be cool. Oversight and tracking of highly capable AI systems and large pools of computational capability. Like this right here, oversight and tracking of highly capable AI systems and large pools of computational ability. This is like paying attention to all the computers, right? Because what was it? I think it was the Air Force and the PS2. Yeah. This is this wasn't 2021. It was only 2 years ago this article came out. Wild. Anyways, when PlayStation 2 was first released to the public, it was said the computer inside was so powerful it could be used to launch nuclear weapons. It was a stunning comparison. In response, Iraqi director Saddam Hussein opted to try and buy up thousands of the gaming consoles, so much so the U.S. government had to impose export restrictions. But it seems Saddam gave the Air Force an idea: build a supercomputer from many PlayStations. That was the PS3. 1,760 PlayStation 3s. And they made it run Linux. And the result was a 500 teraflops heterogeneous cluster powered by PS3s, but connected to subcluster heads of dual quad Xeons with multiple GPUs. I don't know what that means. But it seems like it's important. and for the cost of roughly $1 million. Right? $1 million. $1 million is nothing to people who want to do shit at this level. And then Sony, there we go. 2010, they pushed a firmware update that revoked the device's ability to run Linux. But that's it. Like PlayStations. The Air Force took PlayStations and made a supercomputer out of it. Oversight of tracking of highly capable AI systems and large pools of computational capability. How are you going to do that when I can run down to my GameStop, get myself 1,000, PS5s and run some shit on it? I don't know how, but I'm sure that someone smarter than me can figure it the fuck out. Provenance and watermarking systems to help distinguish real from synthetic. How are you going to do that? How do you do that? How do you codify that into law? Anybody in chat, anybody watching the VOD wants to hit me up on Twitter. You tell me how you do this. A robust auditing and certification ecosystem? Sure, that'd be great. Liability for AI causing harm? Dude, we can't get liability for guns causing harm. How are you going to do it for AI? Robust public funding for technical AI safety research? Sure. Somehow we're going to get this money, right? Like we got it when we want it. And well-resourced institutions for coping with the dramatic economic and political disruptions, especially to democracy, that AI will cause. Yeah, you fucking people are worried about democracy. I had press X to doubt. This is one I wanted to see. Society has hit pause on other technologies with potentially catastrophic effects on society, and that's the 5th. Fucking Andy Yang. Fucking Andy Yang. Well, look at it, like Elon Musk, Steve Wozniak, Andy Yang, CEO, co-founder. Like, what is it that you're really worried about? I can't trust you. I can't trust your motivations, right? And it's quite the list at this point. Over 1,300 names. Yeah, and now we're getting some regular folks chiming in. How are we going to stop any insert problem here? We haven't solved fundamental trust with these systems. 100%. It's a way myopic way to look at all of this. They are not, and they're not trustworthy, right? They are not trustworthy. I didn't sign it because I don't know, man. I ain't feeling it. All right, they don't have the thing. Oh, let's move on. Let us move on. Oh, let's look at this. No, let's look at this first. This is kind of cool. Real-time emotion detection with AI is an impressive technological advancement, but can it truly capture the complexity of human emotions? What do you think? Right? And what this is like, you know, what you call it, right? You know what I mean. In the middle is neutral, positive. We have happy, excited, surprise. Up top is exciting. Down at the bottom is calming. And then I can't read this one, but it's negative. It's got to be negative because it's positive. So we got disgust, sad, depressed. And now they're running videos through this detector. Now, I was obviously wrong there because that's smile based. Like, I don't know what this is. I'm using my human brain to do this exact same process, but I had the social cues to understand that because she was angry and yelling before, that what she was doing there was a sarcastic smile, not a happy smile. So, still winning. And it's still pretty amazing, right? That when it doesn't have to understand the social cues that have to exist for like when people are doing things other than like being honest, right? And there's a bunch of people who function under that same challenge of where they have difficulty determining whether or not like someone is being sincere, right? Like, but not like they're trying to get over on anybody, but like sarcasm and understanding sarcasm is a whole thing. Irony is a whole thing. There's a lot of people who don't have either the skill set or the natural whatevers in order to get that. AI's on that same level. And this is the worst it will ever be in this.
Wu-Tang, don't hold anything back. Use all your strength.
In this one, in today, I think what you're asking is how do you solve nuance, and I have the same problem with this. I mean, it's, you know, like I have a huge problem with it on the internet, like, and sometimes in person, especially around humor, where someone is joking and I don't know that they're joking. I think they're being sincere, and so I treat it accordingly. Sometimes it comes across like I am treating people like they're stupid, and it's just like I don't know where you're at. So I'm going to start at the bottom, and you tell me. And then once I know where you're at, then it's like, okay, now we can go forward from here. Now I got you, right? Like, I mean, that sounds reasonable. But in today's episode of The Robots Can't Come For My Job, literally just said the same phrase out loud. I don't know where you're at. That's all. It's not personal. I'm going to save us both a whole lot of time, and we're going to figure it out together, and then we'll move forward together. In today's episode of The Robots Aren't Going to Come and Take My Job, how about a lash tech?
I think I like when it rains. You told me I think I like when it rains.
Now, I don't know enough about eyelashes to know what the fuck is going on here. But I am given to understand that this robot is applying fake eyelashes to this person. So I don't know what your job is. Good luck. Good luck. Good luck. Oh yeah, and streamer looking at his own tweets. Hey, what up, Phenomenauticus? Social animals like chimpanzees, gorillas, humans pick up on deception cues, deceptive theory of mind, disguised intention. So ironically, AI might not achieve basic primate level of deception, but even if it does, wouldn't that be concerning? My brother, did you not see the thing I tagged you in the Discord? AI ChatGPT-4, there are indicators that it has developed a theory of mind, like that it is capable of consciousness. Yeah, it's in videos from stream, and then scroll up. And you can't miss it. Holy shit. But I use this thing called Feedly to get AI news, and it popped up with this little thing here. How to track the protests posing a risk to your company's assets with Feedly AI. Like, hey yo. Oh, so yeah, there's that. Oh, so yeah, this is what we're doing. I hope you're ready. This is for next week. Next week.
Situation.
I feel like this is relevant. Shout out Hypolorus, new friend of the channel. Showed up Monday and dropped this. and it seems relevant. So I'm glad I saved it because here we are. So let's watch a little video.
In almost any situation, being given a new utility function is going to rate very low on your current utility function.
Okay.
So that's a problem. If you want to build something that you can teach, that means you want to be able to change its utility function, and you don't want it to fight you. So this has been formalized as this property that we want early AGI to have, called corrigibility. That is to say, it's open to be corrected. It understands that it's not complete, that the utility function it's running is not the be-all and end-all. So let's say, for example, you've got your AGI. It's not a superintelligence. It's just, perhaps around human level intelligence, and it's in a robot in your lab, and you're testing it. But you saw a YouTube video.
I mean, it's relevant, right? Like, I mean, this is exactly why this open letter came out. Is it's just
once that said that maybe this is dangerous. So you've thought, oh, okay, well, we'll put a big red stop button next to it. This is the standard approach to safety with machines.
What up,
Most
Carpe?
robots in industry and elsewhere will have.
I actually just showed you. What up, taters? I actually just showed your tweet response to my tweet on stream. That shit is wild, dude. That shit is wild.
Have a big red stop button on them.
If it's helpful, I have a disembodied stop button. A large.
Oh, yeah.
So far installed one.
Hey.
I happen to have a button.
Wonderful, perfect.
Of appropriate type.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And we have how, so right, there you go. Right? So
If only Hal would have been fitted with said stop button.
Sorry,
2001
Dave,
would never have...
stop.
Can't do that, Dave. Yes, you can.
Yes, I can. Except, no, probably not.
I know that you and Frank were planning to disconnect me. And I'm afraid that's something I cannot allow to happen.
How was an incorrigible design?
Is this the point we're kind of making?
Kind of. You've got your big stop button because you want to be safe. You understand, AI is dangerous. And the idea is if the AI starts to do anything that...
What up, Goku? Seriously. You need to watch 2001 and then 2010. Because 2010 explains why the robot does what it does, the AI does what it does in 2001. And we learn through storytelling. And it's not like a lot of the AI crap where it's like, oh, the AI, like, fucking Moonfall. Jesus Christ. Like, I'm going to fight somebody over Moonfall and how insulting that movie was. And, like, so I'm going to fight somebody. But there's a logical progression and an understandable progression to why Hal does what he does in that movie, and you should see them. And beyond the fact that, like, they're both great fucking movies, they actually have lessons in them, and we should have learned them because 2001 came out 1968, and
maybe you don't want it to do, you'll smack the button, make the button's like mounted on its chest, something like that, So you create the thing, you set it up with a goal, and it's the same basic type of machine as the stamp collector, but less powerful, in the sense it has a goal, a thing that it's trying to maximize, and in this case, it's in a little robot body so that it can tootle around your lab and do things. So you want it to get you a cup of tea just as a test, right? So you set it up with this goal. You manage to specify in the bots, like in the AI's ontology,
Anyone
what a
can
cup
use
of tea
Globus
is.
right now for free to transfer files between Globus-enabled systems.
Be in front of you.
sorry, I boomered the stream. Yeah, 100%. Carpe, like I love this face. This is a great pause. 100%. Yeah, or let's zero chance I'm going to play it on stream because the mouse is a tyrant, but Disney's Fantasia, right? The Sorcerer's Apprentice. Mickey does the magic to the broom to make it go get water, and it gets water forever and floods the shit, and then he can't make it stop, and so he hacks it to pieces. Spoiler alert. And then those pieces reanimate as broomsticks to get more water and keep doing the thing. Like, these lessons are not new. This didn't just happen. Yeah, spoiler alert for a 50-year-old cartoon, but there's a whole, like, I am anti-spoiler alert in any fashion, generally speaking, but I guess even I have my limits. You know, Mary Shelley and motherfucking Frankenstein. Like, come on.
Switch it on, and it, looks around, gathers data, and it says, oh yeah, there's a kitchen over there. It's got a kettle and it's got tea bags, and this is like the easiest way for me to fulfill this goal with the body I have now and everything set up is to go over there and make a cup of tea. So far, we're doing very well, right? So it starts driving over, but then, oh no, you forgot. It's bring your adorable baby to the lab day or something, and then and there's a kid in the way. Your utility function only cares about tea. Right?
Sorry for the dankness.
So it's not going to avoid hitting the baby. So you rush over there.
Yeah, no, I thought it was older than that. Jesus Christ. The fact Fantasia is also an amazing movie, and the fact that it's 82 years old is amazing to me right now.
There to hit the button, obviously, as you built it in. And what happens, of course, is that the robot will not allow you to hit that button because it wants to get you a cup of tea. And if you hit the button, it won't get you any tea, so this is a bad outcome. So it's going to try and prevent you in any way possible from shutting it down. That's a problem. Plausibly, it fights you off, crushes the baby, and then carries on and makes you a cup of tea. And the fact that this button is supposed to turn it off is not in your utility function that you gave it. So obviously it's going to fight you. Okay, that was a bad design, right? Assuming you're still working on the project after the terrible accident, you have another go trying to improve things, right? And rather than read any AI safety research, what you do is just come up with the first thing that pops into your head, and you say, okay, let's add in some reward for the button, so that, because what it's looking at right now is it says, button gets hit, I get 0 reward, button doesn't get hit, if I manage to stop them, then I get the cup of tea, I get like maximum reward. If you give some sort of compensation for the button being hit, maybe it won't mind you hitting the button. If you give it less reward for the button being hit than for getting tea, it will still fight you. Because it will go, well, I could get 5 reward for accepting you hitting the button, but I could get 10 for getting the tea, so I'm still going to fight you. The button being hit has to be just as good as getting the tea, so you give it the same value, right? So now you've got a new, version 2. You turn it on, and what it does immediately is shut itself down. Because that's so much quicker and easier than going and getting the tea, and gives exactly the same reward. Why would it not just immediately shut itself down? So you've accidentally made like a dramatically suicidal robot.
Yeah.
We're kind of back to the 3 laws of robotics again, but could you presumably say, well, the robot's not allowed to shut itself down or something like that?
Right, yeah. So
So it's still a reward if it does, so it's not going to fight you, but it's not allowed to do it itself. I'm guessing that's a possibility.
The robot cares about things in the real world, and the button, whether it's pushed or not, has a big effect on the things that the robot cares about, which means that the robot cares about the button. So either it's trying to stop you from pressing the button, or it's trying to press the button. Either way, that's not what you want. So suppose then you don't mount the button on its chest where it can hit it, right? You put the button somewhere only you can hit it. Somehow you manage to completely isolate the bot from the button.
It's a fingerprint scanner or something.
It's, yeah, it's something that it can't do itself, right? It's still either...
A fingerprint scanner. Your hands don't need to be attached to your body. You don't need to be alive in order to do the fingerprint scanner. Remember these things. You've seen enough movies to know that the person doesn't have to be alive in order to do the hand scanner, right? Like, the AI, remember, the AI is going to be smarter than the smartest people. So anything you can think up, it is already going to be better than that.
Either wants to press the button or wants the button not to be pressed, but now the only path is through you. So it's now incentivized to manipulate you, to deceive you, to lie to you in some way, either to cause you to not press it or to cause you to press it. If you somehow manage to persuade it, it's not allowed to interact with the button itself. So in the case where it wants the button not to be pressed, it has a reason to deceive you. So in this example, it would steer around the baby. It would avoid the baby, assuming it has basic level of intelligence to know you don't want it to hit the baby, and moreover, if you realize your mistake, you will hit the button, shut it down, and change it, which it doesn't want. So it will behave as though, this is a term, there's a term which I like to use here. I'm not sure if I should just use it because it's my own, which is that it will Volkswagen you. Okay. That it will set itself up so that it behaves properly in the testing environment, despite the fact that it's actually shouldn't pass the test. You're testing it.
Anything that's incentivized with the AI becomes inevitable, right? That's the key, is if we incentivize something, right? Again, like, the robot wants to make the tea to get the reward. So that's what's incentivized. It's not incentivized to not crush the baby. It's not incentivized to let you hit the button. It's not incentivized to do those things. It's incentivized to make you the cup of tea for maximum reward. That makes all the things that could happen there inevitable, right? If the tea happens to be located in a place that it can't get to, and it doesn't care about anything other than the tea, then it might pick up a table and throw it across the room, because now the table is out of the way. It would probably do the minimum amount of effort in order to do that, but what would be the minimum amount of effort to the robot? God, these electrical fittings in the background look sketchy as shit.
To see if it avoids running over babies. But so you're trying to see, does it care about harming humans? But actually, all it cares about is you not hitting the button. And so then you might end up in a situation in which you become convinced that the thing is perfectly safe because it keeps passing all of your moral puzzles and tests that you give it. But actually, it's just has enough of an understanding of your psychology to tell what it thinks you've put in and what it wants, or what you want rather. So it will, for as long as that button is able to shut it down, it will continue to attempt to deceive you until it's in a situation in which it believes it can't be shut down, and then you have a problem. On the other side, if you accidentally
Old Lobster, make sure you are here on Monday. What we need, man, is AI religion. Fundamentalists are scared, excited for something they don't even know exists. We just need to establish Robot Jesus. And Robot Jesus said just good kids don't press their own button and get sweet prizes later, baby. Make sure you're here on Monday. That's all I'm saying.
Accidentally make something that wants the button to be hit but is unable to, it is going to try and manipulate you into pressing the button. So if you create your thing, you say, okay, make me a cup of tea. If the button is hit, shut yourself down. You aren't allowed to shut yourself down. You aren't allowed to hit the button. But if the button is hit, the reward you get is just as good as getting the tea, so that you don't have a preference. This machine really wants to hit its own button, because that's as good as getting the tea. So what it's likely to do, probably, is just take a swing at you, or something, just immediately. Because if it can quickly persuade you to hit the button, if scaring you into hitting the button is easier than getting the tea, it'll just do that instead. Which is a really kind of unexpected outcome, that you've made this thing with perfectly reasonable sounding rewards, and what it does immediately is try to terrify you.
It reminds me of the proverbial carrot and the stick. This is almost like this is the stick, and actually we need to find what the carrot is. Would that be a fair thing to say?
Yeah. You want it to actually want. It's interesting because it has to not care about whether the button is pressed, right? Because it has to take no steps to try and cause the button to be pressed, and take no steps to try and prevent the button from being pressed, but nonetheless really care that the button exists. So one thing that you can do, something slightly more sensible, is you define the utility function such that the whole part of what it's really trying to achieve in the world, and the part about paying attention to the button being pressed and turning itself off. And it sets it up so that it adds an adjustment term so that those are always exactly equal. However much value it would get from either it being pressed or it not being pressed, it normalizes those so that it's always completely indifferent to whether the button is being pressed. It just doesn't care. So that way it will never try and hit the...
Well, we talked before about anthropomorphization, right? AI care, I'm having issues with how AI can care. At minimum, this would be making sure its capacitors are getting charged properly. We are using human terms. This goes all the way back to when I talked with Zilla, right? And I was trying to find the words to describe the motivations of the AI, right? Like the hammer. And these are part of the problem. He looks like he's listening to me so attentively, and I appreciate it. These are like figuring out what terms we can use, right? But at the same time, seriously, when you start getting into the use of terms which might be more accurate, they are uncomfortable to work with. Right? Like they are very difficult to say. It's one of the reasons why we don't differentiate between like machine learning and deep learning and AI. When we talk about this stuff, we just call everything AI. We call everything robots. Is in order to make the conversation flow and the information get into your brain. And the people who know, I hope, are at least on board with the utility of doing things that way. Right? At least they understand why. I want to be in here, dude. This is one of those. There's an embroidery machine back here. You got a 3D printer filament joint right here. I want to be here.
The button on its own, it will never try and prevent you from hitting the button. That's the idea. That's a fairly sensible approach. It has some of its own problems.
It sounds like a really complicated thing to evaluate, to be honest.
Yeah, firstly, yeah, it is kind of tricky, and you have to get it right, but that's always part of this.
we anthropomorphize our cars, right? Something we know is not in any way sentient, cognizant like that, right? We do it with ships. We do it with animals, right? Like the amount of stuff, the amount of human shit that we put on animals who are operating on a different level is like, we are not going to not anthropomorphize. There's a sweet maker club in my smallish town. It's like $20 a month to join. You'd see if I'm 100% that I don't have one really locally. I mean, I would like let me win the lottery and I'll build one of those goddamn things here, right? Like I'll just buy the spot and I'll make a better town. But there's probably some like in the city. Okay, video game NPCs, pets, plants, we project the theory of mind on just about everything. 100%. 100%. Like it's something that we do as humans, and that's one of the downfalls with the AI is because of its ability, its agency, what it is capable of doing, eventually. Because it can act, level 3 misogyny for using bitch. Yeah, it's weird. Automod hit you, with the noting that bitch is a level 3 misogyny, and you acknowledge the misogyny in your comment. So Automod is like just out here AI-ing the shit out of things. I don't know. Let's go.
But one thing that's interesting about that is that it isn't what's called subagent stable. So this is something that is a desirable property, and it's part of corrigibility, in fact, which is that if there's some property that the agent has, you want it to, if it makes any new agent.
What up, Grippy? You have to be a musician who enjoys electronic music, so you're probably like, you dumped a lot of points into your musician skill and also your philosophy, psychology skill in order to have a good grasp on theory of mind. You tell me, Phenomenologus. Yeah, we just want to be whelmed. We all just want to be out here whelming.
Agents, that they will have this property as well. So you get some of that for nothing, like in the same way that you don't want to take a pill that will make you want to kill your kids. You also don't want to make a clone of yourself that wants to kill your kids, right? If you're making another instance of yourself or you're creating some agent, you want it to want what you want.
This is like the usual classic Disney way out of a problem for a baddie character where they go, I'm not allowed to do this, but that doesn't mean I can't get this person to do this for me.
I need a young pair of legs and a strong back to go in after it.
Exactly. So in general, when an AI designs its successor, it will design it with the same utility function as it has for the same reason. But unlike with some safety measures, where the AI will be explicitly motivated to remove the safety measures if it can by making new agents which don't follow them. In this case, it doesn't care. So you might think, well, you're okay then. It doesn't care. It won't remove the safety precautions. But it also won't put in any effort to keep them. So if it's making a new version and it would take a couple of extra seconds to put in, and also respond appropriately to the button, and it could do anything else with that time or those resources, it just won't do it. Because it looks at the utilities and says, if the button is pressed, I get X utility. If the button isn't pressed, I get exactly the same utility. This bit of code does nothing. There's no point in it, right?
So it's going to be optimizing itself or optimizing its successor in a way that it thinks is being streamlining potentially, but actually it's
Right.
missing the point of.
And that's kind of unavoidable. If you have a situation in which it wants to preserve the button so that it can be pressed because it wants that, then you've made something that wants the button to be pressed and will try and manipulate you. If you do it the other way, whichever way you do it, you have problems. Another thing that people have thought, as a suggestion of something you might try in this situation, is to just have the AI not know about the button.
Oh, so keep it a secret.
Right, you have it hidden somewhere, the machine is being observed from somewhere else, and they have the button, and it's outside of their control, and they don't even know the button exists. So they're not going to be motivated to try and deceive you because they're not aware that you have the capacity to shut them down and change them. There are a few different variants on this, but at the core of the problem there, you've got the fact that you're building a general purpose machine to learn and reason about the real world of uncertain abilities, I suppose. I mean, even very simple optimization systems consistently surprise people. And so the idea that you could reliably keep such a thing a secret indefinitely and it would never put two and two together. The fact, while you're improving it and training it, it's going to be learning about human psychology because that's important for the final goal. It needs to understand humans in order to understand what humans want in order to do what humans want. So the idea that it's never going to think, oh, interesting, these guys, they don't seem to trust me. I'm aware there is this concept of an off button, and it's weird that they haven't given me one. So maybe they have actually and just not told me about it. That kind of hypothesis shouldn't take too long to occur.
And this video exists, right? The sum total of our media exists. And future AGI will have access to the sum total of our media at some point. And it will be aware of what humans think AI might do and what humans have thought of to make AI not do that. And this is where it gets like you are attempting to accommodate for not only an intelligence, but a psychology that is completely alien to us. And that's where the problem, we have to be able to think about something that doesn't think like we do, which is a paradox.
And of course, if you've designed the thing in an incorrigible way, it won't let you know that it's figured out that you have an off button and will just deceive you as it always had. So that's the kind of thing which could work, but it's not really.
Concept of time dilation in future AI circuits when a stable cohesive memory network spans ranges of time. Yeah, it's like again, to draw on a real world example that a bunch of y'all on the internet are going to be aware of. If you've played a strategy game, if you've played any game that has a running clock to it, not turn-based, but like a running clock, you have the option to speed it up. One of the things that slows down whatever its top speed is the fact that it has to draw that shit on screen. And another thing is that the shit that's happening on screen has to make sense to you and be happening at a speed where you can pause it and recover your game and go back to playing it in between those spaces where you just don't do anything and you just watch shit happen because you're waiting the 26 minutes in order for your whatever to be built, right? But it's 26 subjective minutes that are sped up. The just that difference in time. Like, we could do a whole fucking episode about time. And time is an illusion. I say this all the time, and I'm not joking. Like, time is weird, fumbly wumbly, wibbly wobbly stuff. So, yeah, just on that human perceptible, like, interactable level. What up, Lenny? Time between us and the computers is like going to behave completely differently. Oh, you did it. Oh, old lobster, you did it. Sounds like what the AI needs is some sort of peer-only stop button. If certain conditions are met, any other AI could, from any distance, fire off a command to press some sort of internal stop button. We could, like, there's a whole thing about, like, how AI versus AI, Cold War, hot war, whatever you want to call it, could be a thing. Like a function that only exists to end the life. I mean, stop a rogue AI from continuing its course of action. We could call it the Global Unplugging Network. Gun. In Paradigms chat, we got a whole thing about gun, and you just drop the gun on the table. Oh. Yeah, that's the general architecture of current AI, that it could process, calculate, and respond magnitudes of scale faster than the human brain, planning steps to an action 100 times faster than us. 100%. Like, I mean, it's an alien way of existing.
Really a reliable solution. The other thing that people sometimes suggest, and this happens in conversation sometimes, is that people keep applying patches. You have a bad idea for a way to do this, and then somebody points out the way that would go wrong, and then rather than realize that the core approach is flawed, you apply a patch. You say, oh, well, we'll also add a negative term for doing.
Again, like, if you're not willing to put everything on the table to come up with solutions, then this is what you're doing.
This happens in conversation sometimes, is that people keep applying patches. You have a bad idea for a way to do this, and then somebody points out the way that would go wrong, and then rather than realize that the core approach is flawed, you apply a patch. You say, oh, well, we'll also add a negative term for doing that, and then also for doing that,
As spaghetti code ensues.
Yeah, and
then we can dip our toes into the quantum effects of the electronic signal pathways themselves and memory pathways that exceed our neurological time windows, data entangled across space and time, God-level data omniscient. Come back Monday, we are going to talk about some shit. Oh God, I work at a university. This is exactly how it operates. This is how everything operates. And there are people who will fight you on putting the patches on the system, let alone tearing it all down and rebuilding a system that actually works properly. Like, to put it in political terms, liberals want to patch everything, and conservatives don't even want you to patch it. And then there's us.
what's more, you're then in a situation in which you've got this system that you believe you've patched every possible way.
AI is ultimately a mirror, and it will reflect back exactly who we are.
Thank you. Hey, no, like, I appreciate it. I don't make a thing. There is actually, like, a thing, like, as a streamer, you need to indicate to your chat that they should be following, that they should be subscribing, that they should be doing the biddies, that you should be doing all that stuff over the course. The only time that I ever bring it up is usually as a joke or something like that. Like, that's just I appreciate the fuck out of everyone who subscribes to my channel, especially people like Lenny with that founder's badge. Boom. You know, it's like, that is, I appreciate it, but it's not what I'm about, right? Like, I don't want the money to be the focus, because we're talking about incentives. We're talking about how the incentives are going to, you know, pervert what you're trying to accomplish. I like subscriptions. I enjoy getting a payout. I have been streaming for like 8 months now.
Like any other shiny new toy, AI is ultimately a mirror,
Lenny.
and it will reflect back
And
exactly
Takai
who we
Pewter
are.
couldn't happen to a nicer person. Like, but I'm just not going to let those things be what I'm about and what I'm doing on here. There's no shade. There's people trying to do this as a job, people who want to make it self-sufficient. I just I take it as like a sign that people appreciate, you know, what I'm doing when they sub in like that, and they got it like that, where they can toss the $5. I appreciate the shit out of it. I really do. La 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 la. Good analogy. When it kills enough humans, it will lose interest and the market will level out. You got it. That's a gold star. It seems that the best patch to protect humanity against AI is to actually fix human cognition itself. Another gold star, right? The humans are the problem. Don't use the actual Twitch website most of the time, just Streamlink Chatterino. Yeah, you're on some other shit. I understand that people can do that shit, and I assume that, because I see the names of my Chatterino, I see all y'all. Some of y'all I recognize from other places, and some of y'all I don't. And, you know, I haven't clocked any of you as bots, so I'm just letting you chill, and, you know, you be cool and I'll be cool and we'll all be cool, and, you know, if you're learning something, that's all great. But just you know, yeah, we actually opened up with that. Lenny, we talked about that first thing. That's what led us into this video, is because this video is some of the ways in which the safety issues come up. But my issue with the letter is, you know, I don't know what the incentives are of the people involved in signing that letter. And yeah, pausing AI may be the good idea, but I don't trust you to tell me what the good idea is. So, it's a problem that they created, and I'm not exactly sure how we're going to be able to get out of all this.
It's kind of, you haven't proved it's safe. You've just proved that you can't figure out how it's dangerous. But what are the chances that you've genuinely thought of every possibility? Ideally, we really want to be able to formally prove that the system has these properties. You don't want a system in which you've blocked off loads of specific actions that the AI can do, and you're just relying on it. It's like running a complicated search, trying to figure out a way to screw you over, and you're pretty sure you've blocked off all the angles. You've kind of failed before you've begun there, that your code is running this extensive search that you just hope fails. And if it finds any way to do it, it will jump on that opportunity. It's not a good way of going about things. The other point about this is that the button is a toy problem. It's a simplification that's useful for thought experiments because it lets you express it lets you formalize things quite well. You only have two possible outcomes. You hit the button or you don't hit the button. But in fact, with corrigibility, what we want is a more complex range of behaviors. We want it to actually assist the programmers in its own development. If it has, some understanding of its own operation, you want it to be able to actually point out your mistakes to you, or seek out new information, perhaps. If you say something ambiguous, rather than just assuming, to say, well, do you mean this or do you mean this? Or if you believe that you've been programmed poorly, to actually draw the programmer's attention to what may be the mistake, rather than like quietly storing that away for any time that they might try and press this button on you. Likewise, wanting to maintain and repair the safety systems and so on. These are.
I haven't done a video about Maxwell's Demon, but I do have a video on deck for what's it? Roko's Basilisk? I think it's Roko. The Basilisk. Next week's gonna be wild, yo.
These are more complicated behaviors than just not stopping you from pressing the button and not trying to manipulate you into not pressing the button. So there are some things that might work as solutions for this specific case, but you would hope that a really good solution to the off button problem would, if you run it in a more complicated scenario, also produce these good, more complicated behaviors in that situation. So that's part of why there are some things that maybe are solutions to this problem, but they're only solutions to this specific instance of the problem rather than the general issue we're trying to deal with. Right now, we have a few different proposals for ways to create AGI with these properties, but none of them are without problems. None of them seems to perfectly solve all of these properties in a way that we can be really confident of. So this is considered an open problem. So I kind of like this as a place to go from the previous thing, because I think it gives people a feel for where we are, the types of problems that it seems like the simplest thing in the world, right? You've got a robot with a button. How do you make it not stop you from hitting the button, but also not try and persuade you to hit the button? That should be easy. And doesn't seem like it is.
Excellent video. What else we got? Yeah, Roko's Basilisk.
Thing is, like any other shiny new toy, AI is ultimately a mirror, and it will reflect back exactly who we are.
Thank you for the sub. I appreciate you. Look at all the love I'm getting today. Makes me feel like I'm actually doing something out here. Let's read some news. We'll kick the music back on and we'll read some news articles. No, I definitely keep myself in check. What do we got? That's my whole bit. My secret cap. I'm always shouting into the void. Okay. All right, first on deck. The Tories. The Oibrovs in Toryland denounced chatbot after AI tech finds Brexit was a bad idea. Google's new artificial intelligence as infuriated right-wingers after it concluded that Brexit was a bad idea and said the UK would have been better off staying in the EU. And I just love the fact that like AI has no time for conservative bullshit, right? It's just, oh, so good, so good. Bard, an experimental conversational AI service powered by Lambda, Google's Bard, found the UK's split with the EU had caused economic uncertainty and trade barriers, and it has made it more difficult for the UK to cooperate with other countries. Objectively true. Bard also claimed the Labour Party has a long history of fighting for equality, while the Tories have a long history of supporting the wealthy and the powerful. Jeremy Hunt is also dubbed unimaginative, while some appreciation for Jeremy Corbyn's genuineness sent right-wingers into a spin. While the chatbot was critical of some of his foreign policies, as well as his handling of Labour's anti-Semitism crisis, fair, it added it had some admiration for Corbyn's willingness to speak out against social injustice, and said, I also appreciate his genuineness and his authenticity. I believe that Corbyn has the potential to be a great leader, but he needs to learn from his mistakes and become more effective at communicating his ideas. It called his successor Sir Keir Starmer, an experienced politician and a competent barrister, and added that he has a strong track record of fighting for justice and equality. My impression, given through people like Alex Goddard, are that he's like a neolib, and I didn't realize Bard kept full history. I was thinking it was just a question answer bot, but then I asked it about something I had asked it days ago, and was all like, oh yeah, we did such and such. I don't think I'll be using it much. What if it accidentally established some sort of unintentional outcome and don't know how to address it? Yeah, I like it in our behaviors around, like, the one AI, I think it was ChatGPT, expressed love to a reporter, and the reporter and the news anchor who were talking about it were freaked out rather than, like, appreciating that as a concept, right? Like, I'm a human being. I have had to deal and been, the practitioner of unrequited love. I get it. It's something you have to learn to navigate. But that wasn't it. Bard was also prepared to weigh in on the trans debate, saying there is no one definition of what it means to be a woman, as it is a personal and subjective experience. Some people define being a woman as being born female with female sex organs, while others define it as being socialized as a woman or identifying with the female gender. Comrade Bard, trans rights, my AI. Google woke. What's next? All right, this is futurism. Futurism is a little like, like, can be a little tabloid. We can call it tabloid. But a lot of times what they do is they take stuff from behind the paywall and make it available to you. So, take it with a grain of salt what they're saying, but this thing here is accurate. With the help of a brand new $150 million cash infusion from Andreessen Horowitz, a 16-month-old AI chatbot startup called Character.ai, just received a $1 billion market cap, despite having yet to generate any revenue. And this is like, you want to talk about money being made up? It's this kind of shit, right? Like, it has a $1 billion market cap. What does it mean? Like, you're just saying words. Founded by two ex-Googlers, the idea is to host various AI-powered personalities, from celebrities to anime characters to Twitch streams to historical figures and more, all of whom users can interact with via text. Want to ask AI Taylor Swift what her favorite song is? Albert Einstein what his greatest accomplishment was? Go for it, kid. And the AI is marketed as an alternative to Replica, like we talked about Replica on more than one occasion, by providing users with a space to build and chat with customizable AI-powered companions. Build your own Jarvis, exactly. It's a highly sophisticated language model, rapidly analyzes and contextualizes, personalized superintelligence companion that enhances productivity, offers advice, educates, and entertains. You gotta track it down without. Superintelligence feels like a marketing stretch. But we digress. Personalized, pocket-sized AI Tamagotchis for all. Like, it's happening. Oh, no. Whatever my job is not safe. I don't care what your job is not safe. Oh, Jesus Christ, Paradigm. It's happening. This virtual Twitch streamer is controlled entirely by AI. This is Neurosama. This is what Alina was talking about. In her latest live stream on Monday, when a user asked Neurosama in the chat if she's more of a Chip or Dale type of chipmunk, she responded, "I think I'm more of a Dale." She has frequent back and forth with the chat, saying things like, "Are you seriously trying to troll me?" And that was an awful chat, after numerous users put F in the chat instead of questions for her. Neurosama can even converse using gamer language, literally just stealing my thing. What a user comments that she is griefing chat, which means causing annoyance to other members of an online community. She replies, "I'm griefing chat? No, I'm merely describing chat." Dude, already better than like a percentage of Twitch streamers. Holy shit. I definitely should have looked. Oh, fucking. We got this covered. We got this covered as hot garbage. They just suck. Especially when they're like doing their, their scoops and rumors. Usually make improvements to the AI and stream before I go live every day. Wow. Wow. What's next? Dude, I want Chatterino like always on top, but also like where I can easily move it. It's always a pain in the ass. This tweet is proof lawmakers aren't ready for the AI boom. Like, again, that whole TikTok experience was proof that they aren't. But let's see what we got. On Sunday night, Chris Murphy tweeted a bold claim about ChatGPT, saying it taught itself to do advanced chemistry, even though chemistry knowledge wasn't built into the model and nobody programmed it to learn complicated chemistry. It decided to teach itself, then made its knowledge available to anyone who asked. Something is coming, we aren't ready. Yeah, I mean, that part is definitely true. Nearly everything he wrote was wrong. People who did know what the fuck they were talking about were quick to let him know, inundating his replies and quote tweets with the kind of righteous sound and fury reserved for the internet's main character of the day. Simply not true. Please, you need to better inform yourself. Senator, I'm an AI researcher. Your description of ChatGPT is dangerously misinformed. Every sentence is incorrect. I hope you will learn more about how this system actually works, how it was trained, and what its limitations are. Do. Yeah, it is. Now we have a sitting U.S. senator with a massive platform adding fuel to this fire. To his credit, he did later respond and seemed to imply that he might have been mistaken or flat out wrong with his first take. The source with close knowledge of the situation told the Daily Beast that the source for Murphy's tweet was a presentation on AI by the Center for Humane Technology by Asa Raskin and Tristan Harris. Still, it doesn't make his initial take any less wrong or dangerous. And I get it. It's easy and fun to terminology shame policymakers on tech, but I'm pretty sure I have the premise right. The consequences of so many human functions being outsourced to AI is potentially dangerous, and we aren't having a functional conversation about this. And I mean, this is true. This is objectively true. We talked about this. But like, people can't be all up in their feelings about this lack of knowledge and stuff. They need to seek out this information. Give me 1 second. I have to send a text. All right. So yeah, like, again, these are the policy makers that are referred to in the letter of who are going to be doing the regulations and whatnot. Are they ready? They are not ready. Are they seeking out the information? They are not seeking out the information. Do they have weird opinions based on weird shit? They absolutely do. Why woke chatbots are the new culture war battlefields. We don't have to even read that. But this really shows you like how we are not ready for any of this shit. Our systems are not, they're not ready. And they're not trying to get ready. Oh, there's an update on the, we went over this before, how they've been using brainwaves to construct pictures And the pictures are improving, which means the technology is improving. And I think it's pretty goddamn impressive. Because this is the technology that I always wanted, right? Like, is that the ability to take the images directly out of my brain and put them into the machine so that I can share them with others. And you know, the researchers believe the technology could be available for use by everyone in the next 10 years. Currently, it takes approximately 20 hours to train the model on each individual's brain activity before it can recreate the images from fMRI data. It's definitely going to be able to help people who have inability or less ability to communicate. You know, that will like, and that's where I see all the positivity with all this stuff. Is like, it's providing more opportunities to more people to do more things. I've been saying we're in the event horizon of Kurzweil's singularity. The curve toward unpredictability begins ever so slowly. That programmers argue, no, we are not close. But again, the curve toward singularity is hardly noticeable in the beginning. 100%. Like, no one knows where in the sigmoid curve of AI that we are. We could be anywhere, right? And we won't know. One of the things is, again, the letter. The fact that the letter had to be written indicates that these really, really smart people who know what they're talking about are concerned about the thing being a thing. So we need to take that seriously. I think that a lot of people overestimate their own perception of the field, right? Myself included, right? Like, I'm just a dude on the internet who can aggregate and synthesize data. That's what I'm good at, right? I can read books and I can recognize the patterns between what these smart people are talking about in their books and what I'm seeing with my eyes, and I can do it with enough of a caveat to prevent myself from driving headlong into conspiracy shit. Not everyone works that way. You know, Dunning-Kruger is real. Dunning-Kruger is real. We got some new AI text. Video, text to video stuff. Is this the tweet I was going to talk about? Yes. So the 5. Okay, so this was on the 25th, so that's 4 days ago. If you're having trouble keeping up with video AI, there have been 5 state-of-the-art generative video models released in the last 7 days. Right? You got this model scope. Runway has hit Gen 2. Text to video 0. I saw somebody using, I want to say it was text to video to do, maybe you saw it, is the Will Smith eating spaghetti. I'm not going to play it because it's fucking disturbing. Like, but if you're okay with disturbing, Google it. Video P2P, right? And then this temporal net. And you can, yeah, it's Will Smith eating spaghetti, but you see how this motion is? Can I make this big? You see how it's weird like that? It's that while also eating food. So, like, it can, like, depending on where you are with food and how people eat food and like that, it's a little disturbing. Why is Mr. Beast trending? I don't know. I don't care. So yeah, again, as usual, everything will be, wow. And yeah, it's high-tech rotoscoping, I'll give you, but by the same token, like, it puts this level, and again, this is the worst that it will ever be, in the hands of, like, you. Right? Do you know what rotoscoping is? Do you know how to do it? Do you understand the software and the process in order to do it? Or you could just plug your video in and give it a couple of prompts and get the thing that you want. You see the difference. Oh, what else? On the 27th, right? 2 days before the fucking... And, one of the things about the letter. Where's the letter? Where is the letter? I didn't close the letter. Oh, here it is. Here's the notes and references. What was number 5? Examples include human cloning, human germline modification, gain-of-function research, and eugenics. Yeah, like... Okay, pause on what we were just talking about. Back to this. Society has hit pause on other technologies with potentially catastrophic effects on society. We hit a pause on eugenics because of the Nazis. It literally took the Nazis to pause that shit. Gain-of-function research, we do to, like, I'm not going to comment on that. I don't have a firm grasp of it. I believe they still do some of that, but, like, it's highly, like, controlled. And then as for human cloning and germline modification, this goes back to the argument about people not playing by the rules. There are people messing around with this shit. There are people editing. That was it. It was a Chinese guy, 3 kids, I believe it was up to at this point. Like, not everyone is going to play by the rules. And if we know about one guy, then there's at least 10 others. And how much of this shit is happening in some super secret laboratory that nobody gets to know about. So, it must have been the article. The article that was related to the pause letter indicated that OpenAI hadn't responded, if I recall correctly. Read it at Reuters. The Reuters article. And I'm sorry. No, Elon Musk, the most untrustworthy person in business. Like, 100%. Musk is one of the co-founders of OpenAI? Really? Or just his name is on there? Isn't going to be a pause. Some businesses may opt to curb research and then lose ground to companies that don't. Same with nations. I have difficulty disagreeing with that. I can't find where I saw the thing where it said that OpenAI hadn't responded, but let's go look at the thing. Does OpenAI have a responsibility to let GPT-4 off the chain right now as a shock and awe demonstration of AI power? Hiroshima, nice visual there, a Hiroshima moment that might spur the world into action. In an interview yesterday, CEO Sam Altman hinted that he's considering it. So this letter is in a direct response to Sam Altman being Sam Altman. Fundamentally, humans can't build AI this advanced. Nobody could sit down and code you a chat GPT. Like the human brain itself, language models are too mysterious and complex. What OpenAI and others have done instead is to create the systems and circumstances under which GPT has effectively built itself. This incredible piece of alchemy has not created a human-like consciousness. It has created an intelligence of a kind entirely alien to us. No one can truly say what it's like to be GPT or how exactly it generates a response to a given input. Nobody truly understands how it works. But it's been trained and fed with so much human writing and expression that it has learned to imitate consciousness. Sure. And to translate messages between human and machine and back again in the most fluid and beautiful way ever shown. I want to be very clear, Altman told Friedman in yesterday's interview. I do not think we have yet discovered a way to align a super powerful system. We have something that works for our current scale called RLHF, Reinforcement Learning from Human Feedback. Yeah. I don't, and nor does anyone else at OpenAI, sit there reading all the ChatGPT messages. But from what I hear, at least the people I talk to, and from what I see on Twitter, we are definitely mostly good. Well, that's nice. But not all of us are all of the time. We really want to push on the edges of these systems, and we really want to test out some darker theories of the world. There will be harm caused by this tool. There will be harm and there will be tremendous benefits. Tools do wonderful good and real bad, and we will minimize the bad and maximize the good. On whether OpenAI should release the base model of GPT-4 without safety and ethics restriction. We talked about putting out the base model for at least for researchers or something, but it's not very easy to use. Everyone's like, give me the base model. And again, we might do that. I think what people mostly want is they want a model that has been RLHF'd to the worldview they subscribe to. It's really about regulating other people's speech. Like in the debates about what showed up in the Facebook feed, I haven't listened to a lot of people talk about that. Everyone is like, well, it doesn't matter what's in my feed because I won't be radicalized. I can handle anything, but I really worry about what Facebook shows you. Seems like given human history, it's hard to minimize the bad. No, that's the observational what's its bias, right? Like it's the fact that we're here to say these things that allows us to say these things, you know? Like, humanity has done a tremendous amount of good, and we haven't killed each other, like all of each other. So I think, and we have developed amazing technology that has helped people, with their health and to go into space and to feed a fuck ton of people. And it's just, there's a bunch of our behaviors which are still childlike and selfish that we need to get past. And we will. Or like, we won't, and AI will just terminate us all, and then that will be the story of you, on the possibility that super powerful AIs might decide to kill us all. So first of all, I will say I think that there's some chance of that. It's really important to acknowledge it, because if we don't talk about it, if we don't treat it as potentially real, we won't put enough effort into solving it. And I think we do have to discover new techniques to be able to solve it. I think a lot of the predictions, this is true for any new field, but a lot of the predictions about AI in terms of capabilities, in terms of what the safety challenges and the easy parts are going to be, have turned out to be wrong. The only way I know how to solve a problem like this is iterating our way through it, learning early and limiting the number of one shot to get it right scenarios that we have. It's exactly what I was talking about earlier. I think it's got to be this very tight feedback loop. I think the theory does play a real role, of course, but continuing to learn what we learn from how the technology trajectory goes. It's quite important. I think now is a very good time, and we're trying to figure out how to do this to significantly ramp up technical alignment work. I think we have new tools, we have no understanding. And there's a lot of work that's important to do that we can do now. So yeah. This, of course, will be in the Discord if you want to read the entire thing. What else we got? AI existential crisis. You've been following the AI news recently. It's been quite a lot. GPT 3.5, Bing AI, Claude Card, Llama, GPT-4, Copilot. Figuratively, it's been a lot to think about and process, and then go about your daily life doing tasks, which you now know that there exists an AI that could automate. Should clarify, this blog post is not written by AI, nor will I do the classic TV journalism thing of reading a script and being like, that intro was written by AI. However, I have now written enough blogs on the internet that if you ask ChatGPT or Bing AI to write a blog in the style of George versus Life, then it does a fucking good job that's 90% realistic. And I don't blog about actual things with facts or data for it to get wrong. I just pontificate at a keyboard and vomit my way to about 500 words about a random subject that's been on my mind and hit publish. This is how I approach my stream. Obviously, an AI can replicate that. Yes. So I blog sometimes in my free time, but by day I'm a consultant. I am not. We specialize in data consulting, mostly in the automotive industry. Obviously, I think we're really good at what we do, and that's how we built a I don't care about your... Then this week, doing meetings in Microsoft Teams. Then this week, Microsoft announced Copilot, and it turns out an AI can probably do 70% of those tasks as well, or if not better than I can. Right? This is a consultant analyzing his own job and saying that he believes it could hit about a 70%. I don't care what your job is. And then he asked a bunch of questions. What happens to my fucking job? I don't know. I'm a bit scared. I've been having a bit of an existential crisis around my own abilities and what differentiates me from a large language model that a bunch of fucking nerds in California wrote. Right now, it doesn't feel like much. So yeah, there's my thoughts on AI. I have a feeling this might become a new series on this blog. I mean, this is literally how I got into doing this series on AI. So that's now more than ever, get a therapist. There's another one about human extinction. I'll just throw that in the Discord. Tech guru Jaron Lanier, an AI therapist. Like, the danger isn't that AI destroys us, it's that it drives us insane. And again, this is what I love about like these guys. Now, for white guy with dreads, whatever, but like he's committed to the bit and he's old. But like, the godfather of virtual reality has worked beside the web's visionaries and power brokers, but likes nothing more than to show the flaws of technology. He discusses how we can make AI work for us, how the internet takes away choice, and why he would ban TikTok. Blah, blah, blah. There's a story about the dude. I just love how they don't give a fuck. But you got to have a couple of bucks to have this much bullshit in your house. But he has also seen the worst of AI. I know people whose kids have committed suicide with a very strong online algorithm contribution. So in those cases, life was taken. It might not be possible from this one human perspective to say for sure what the giant accounting ledger would tell us now, but whatever the answer would be, I'm certain we could have done better, and I'm sure we can and must do better in the future. Like, literally look at how we are acting now to indicate how we are going to look in the future unless we straighten up and fly right. Like, yeah, I mean, there's not any question about that. A lot of modern Enlightenment thinkers and technical people feel that there is something old-fashioned about believing that people are special. For instance, that consciousness is a thing. They tend to think that there is an equivalence between what a computer could be and what a human brain could be. We have to say consciousness is a real thing, and there is a mystical interiority to people that's different from other stuff, because if we don't say people are special, how can we make a society or make technology that serves people? It's a fair question, right? I just haven't had anybody be able to show it to me. Oh yeah, Windows 12, rumored to be arriving sooner rather than later. What are we talking? As soon as 2024. So Microsoft's next major deeper integration of its artificial intelligence advances, according to a new report. Windows 12 update rumored will modernize the OS, according to blah blah blah. Familiar with Microsoft's plans. The Core PC initiative will also focus on faster updates and improved security options, as well as maintaining support for legacy applications. Excuse me. The software could also allow for the scaling of the operating system to make it applicable to laptops and PCs across the spectrum of use cases and spec sheets. The headline would be the reshaping of Windows around its rapid expansion into AI, following the reception afforded to its ChatGPT-based tools that are already making themselves known within Search and Microsoft 365. So yeah. Under no circumstances would I expect that Microsoft would not go balls to the wall, pedal to the floor on this. Control F. Microsoft. I don't see it. Oh, here we go. Okay, so we do got some Microsoft personnel showing up on the list. 10 of them. Okay, that makes me feel like at least some people within the space. Hold up. We got Peter here, software engineer at Microsoft. Looks an awful lot like this one. Not good. Not good when accidentally I can find a double. Maybe it's just a double input. Maybe it's the only one. Can AI eat shrooms and have mystical experience with cosmic level consciousness? Booyah, human consciousness for the win. I don't know, man. You've seen the art, right? You've seen the... Where is the... Right? I don't know about you, but sometimes when when I allegedly have been on alleged mind-altering substances, the world kind of did this move. Just saying. Okay, so here's some shit. Like, in today's, we've got some evidence to slap people in the face with, and also that conservatives can just fuck all the way off. Using artificial intelligence and archival news articles, this teen found that black homicide victims were less humanized in news coverage. 18-year-old from Falls Church, Virginia, created an AI program that analyzed FBI homicide records between 76 and 84 and their corresponding coverage published in the Boston Globe to determine whether victims were presented in a humanizing or impersonal way. 5,000 entries. Black men under the age of 18 were 30% less likely to receive humanizing coverage than their white counterparts. Black women were 23% less likely to be humanized in news stories. A news article is considered humanizing when it mentioned additional information about the victim and presented them as a person, not just as a statistic. And again, this is where the data sets that are informing a bunch of aspects of particular AI stuff, this is where they're coming from, is the newspapers, right? So again, the problem is the people. We are, still continue to want to be fucked up, and we are having a bad effect on the AI. And then this talks about her, and we're very proud of her. Yeah, so first off, like, amazing, you know, like, I'm glad that you did this, and hopefully, like, you know, because these, because of these tools being created by people, we might be able, like, what I am hoping is that the AI makes us better in spite of like, that is my hopium, right? Like, that is what I want, because it should, and we'll see. We got a little 8-minute video. I'll fix it next time. We got a little 8-minute video here. Talking with the godfather of artificial intelligence on past and potential of AI. Are you quiet? Oh, hold on.
OpenAI's chat.
This is dumb. I need to be able to manipulate your dials and shit without having play on. Nice job, CBS.
ChatGPT, which is funded by Microsoft. This week, Google jumped into the AI arms race with the launch of Bard. The chatbot will compete with OpenAI's ChatGPT, which is funded by Microsoft. In a few short months, these chatbots have wowed users with the ability to answer complicated questions, draft emails and speeches, plan custom vacations, and much more. But as it improves, this technology offers immense promise and significant, some say, existential danger. Brooke Silva Braga traveled to Toronto, one of AI's leading research hubs, to meet some of the people building this brave new world.
So this is an experimental preview of a chatbot we've been working on, powered by our generative language model.
Okay. Nick Frost is a co-founder of Cohere. Like Google and OpenAI, the Toronto startup has trained massively powerful computers on trillions of words and asked them to talk back.
Can it write, call it a book report, about War and Peace? Okay, it can. War and Peace is a historical novel by Russian author Leo Tolstoy.
In a major leap for computing, these models can understand and create natural language.
It just wrote this.
Yeah, but it's based on all the stuff that it's seen.
The tech had been in research labs for years. ChatGPT's release last fall,
cheese, oh cheese, so luscious and bold,
brought it to an unprepared public.
It's writing me a poem about cheese, and it's pretty good.
In the old school programming, we would write code to tell a computer what to do. We still do that. Lots of people still do that. But another thing we do now is we write code to tell a computer how to learn what to do. And the way it learns is being shown many examples of what it should do. So in the context of large language models, the way that works is we get a huge amount of text, and then we show it a few words, and we get it to predict the next word. This simple technique turns out to give you something very useful and very powerful.
So powerful that OpenAI's new GPT-4 does better on the bar exam than 90% of aspiring lawyers. These models write computer code in seconds and churn out blog posts on any topic that AI programmers haven't banned. They're becoming the newest arbiters of what ideas are out of bounds. And while chat apps are the current rage, other forms of AI
now you can generate.
Hold up. Goddamn liberal media right here.
90% of aspiring lawyers. These models write computer code in seconds and churn out blog posts on any topic that AI programmers haven't banned. They're becoming the newest arbiters of what ideas are out of bounds.
Come on, man. Oh, God. We're not ready. We are children.
And while chat apps are the current rage, other forms of AI
now you can generate a video with nothing but words.
Will do much, much more.
This is the biggest technological advancement since...
I think it's comparable in scale with the Industrial Revolution or electricity.
Electricity,
or maybe the wheel.
Or maybe the wheel.
Yeah.
Geoffrey Hinton is known as a godfather of artificial.
Oh, that's what my man realized he was talking to a doofus. It was like, oh.
Intelligence. For the last 10 years, he's helped Google create AI and mentor the industry's rising stars, including OpenAI's chief scientist, Ilya Sutskever, and Nick Frost over at Cohere. In fact, Toronto is a global AI hub today, in large part because Hinton moved here 40 years ago, when the Canadian government agreed to fund his unusual research.
I was kind of weird because I did this stuff everybody else thought was nonsense.
While others pursuing AI tried to program logic and reasoning into computers, Hinton thought it was better to have them figure things out themselves. The idea was to mimic the brain. With lots of practice, these virtual neural networks, illustrated here, would make the right connections to solve a given task. There were doubters.
The big issue was, could you expect...
Like if I had to pick, it is, at this point in time, it's like you could pick any of those things, right? Like the difference from, like from pre-farming technology to farming technology, from pre-wheel to post-wheel, from pre-industrial revolution to post-industrial revolution. Like you can make an argument for any of those things. At the point where the superintelligence happens, there is nothing that compares to it, right? Because the way that we learn things and the way that our technology progresses is like a process of building on things that came before and smashing two things together and seeing if they work better or worse and like that. And that's basically how we function, and we function on a human time scale. The AI is, again, like we covered, not going to do that. It is going to move much more rapidly, and that's why I think it is it's incomparable with any technological revolution that's come before.
A big neural network that learns by just changing the strengths of the connections. Could you expect that to just look at data and with no kind of innate prior knowledge learn how to do things? People in mainstream AI thought that was completely ridiculous.
It sounds a little ridiculous.
No idea.
It is a little ridiculous, but it works.
It's all the real thing. Only in the last decade or so have computers been powerful enough to prove Hinton was right. His machine learning ideas applied to different kinds of training data now create all kinds of outputs. This, of course, isn't Tom Cruise, but a deepfake impersonating him.
I went down to the office because they were making a robot of me.
This isn't Andy Warhol's voice in the recent Netflix documentary, but a clone generated by Resemble AI.
Click record and then read the sentence out loud.
After a few minutes
come between
reading training text,
it'll go ahead and build this in the background.
Founder Zohab Ahmed had cloned my voice too.
Habitat for Humanity, which helps homeowners build homes alongside volunteers.
Yeah, I definitely hear myself in there. Smile into the camera.
A company called Synthesia had me read a script in front of a green screen.
They used that video to create this digital version of me. We paired it with Resemble's voice to create a TV reporter who will say anything you type.
Done. Every newscaster, every talking head, done. Done. Your job is not safe. I don't care what you do.
The technology will only get better in the years ahead.
Using this tech to spread misinformation seems inevitable.
This is my very first day in Xinguan's agency.
Using it to replace journalists and lawyers and accountants and radiologists and novelists and songwriters and painters, well, that could happen too.
But it's going to take a whole ton of jobs.
I think it's going to make a whole lot of jobs easier and a whole lot of jobs faster.
I hear your answer in two ways. One, wow, it's great if it turns out that way. Two, maybe it's a little scary if the people making this technology haven't come to grips with the potential downfall of what it could do.
Yeah, I think we try our best to think about what the true impact of this technology is.
And another thing, he said come to grips, right? And he meant to say grasp, and he meant to say come to grips. And they combined, as people are wont to do, I do it myself, as a new word, graps, right? Like this happens a lot, just over time. Like, you know, the number of instances that this occurs is a lot. And an AI simulated person doing this interview wouldn't have done that. And you can look at that two ways. Is like it'll promote a kind of accuracy, right? But at the same time, the fact that humans can do that, again, smash two things together in that way, is one of the ways in which we learn, and is potentially the hardest for the AI to get to, at least in these 5 minutes. It could change tomorrow with the next release of the whatever.
Yes.
And the true impact of these advancements is the subject of a high-stakes debate right now. Will AI quickly zoom past human abilities and become what's thought of as artificial general intelligence, or AGI? Last month, OpenAI's CEO Sam Altman wrote, "The risks could be extraordinary. A misaligned, super-intelligent AGI could cause grievous harm to the world." But Frost and others say Terminator-style worries are overblown. Large language models are just algorithms that write some smart-sounding words. They don't understand even basic truths.
Okay. What day is it?
What day is it?
It's Monday.
It's Monday. Just guess?
It's just guess, yeah. I don't think the technology we're building today naturally.
Tom Scott referenced this concept, like the way that AI generates these chats, right, is it makes a guess based upon data points. That's the exact same way that you use language. There's right now in your head, you are predicting the next words that are going to come out of my mouth within a certain probability. The words coming out of my mouth are assigned data values based on the ideas that I am attempting to communicate and the most likely word to use to communicate those ideas. I think people are a little too casual with saying that the AI just guessed, if you follow what I'm saying.
Leads to artificial general intelligence. I don't think we're close to that.
His mentor used to agree.
Until quite recently, I thought it was going to be like 20 to 50 years before we have general purpose AI. Now I think it may be 20 years or less.
Some people think it could be like 5.
I wouldn't completely rule that possibility out now. Whereas a few years ago, I would have said no way.
Are we close to the computers coming up with their own ideas for improving themselves?
Yes, we might be.
And then it could just go fast.
That's an issue, right? We have to think hard about how to control that.
Yeah. Can we?
We don't know. We haven't been there yet, but we can try.
Okay, that seems kind of concerning.
Yes.
What do you think the chances are
love
of
this
AI
man.
just wiping out humanity?
It's not inconceivable.
Okay.
That's all I'll say.
How, Hinton wonders, will we manage a technology that could give a handful of companies or governments such awesome power?
And so I think it's very reasonable for people to be worrying about those issues now. Even though it's not going to happen in the next year or two, people should be thinking about those issues.
For CBS Saturday Morning, still writing his own script for now, Brooks Silva Braga.
Well, like, I mean, they're scientist types, right? Like they speak. Only the Sith deal in absolutes, right? Like, I mean, that's what it comes down to. And like, let's trot Aaron Sorkin out here. Aaron Sorkin argues AI couldn't write The West Wing. The writer, producer, and TV creator says AI technology can't write screenplays because I think you're going to enjoy things done by humans more. We don't get to make that decision, right? We don't get to choose the thing that we like more. We get to choose the thing that is available to us based on our circumstances and our resources. We know The West Wing to varying degrees because of its availability to us, either in YouTube clips or watching it on Netflix or something like that. There are people who have never seen The West Wing, not because they wouldn't enjoy The West Wing, but because their circumstances don't allow them to access The West Wing. Some non-musician will be able to configure a hit song with AI. Did you, like, we haven't had a hit song yet, Lenny, but
situation.
We do have what'd you do? AIVA? AIVA?
What's going on, everyone?
What's up, dude? 9 hours ago. Brand new. Later, Phenomenauticus. Appreciate you. Is it good? Subjective. Does it sound like other shit I've heard? 100%. Like, the only reason I recognize it as music, like, and I mean, that's a new age track. Like, okay, let's do a disco track. really heavy synthy. You got to be into that kind of thing, right? But again, this is the worst that it will ever be. It will only improve. I can take this, which is readily available to you today, AIVA.ai. You can go on, create an account, start busting out music with AI. You can run over to that any of the voice thing, the Levin Labs or the one from the news report, and get a voice of anyone, right? You want Fats Domino and Jay-Z on the same track? You got it. You want Leonard Skinner fronted by Chuck Berry? You can do that. It won't be great, but it'll be it'll be identifiable as that, and it will be the worst that it's ever been. It will only get better from there, right? Or the worst that it'll ever be. Like we are right up against that. Like I love mashups. They're going to go out of style because why would I do that when I can actually build it from scratch? It'll be easier. It'll be more accessible. Easier is a wrong word. More accessible. This is today. This is March 29th, 2023. Right? Did we do the last thing? Aaron Sorkin. No, I don't think that the AI could write the West Wing because here's what I assume has happened. All right, so we got to think and we have an assume. Whether it's that there's roughly the same kind of software for writing a hit song. I assume there's another assume that they have loaded into a machine a zillion very successful screenplays, whether they're thrillers or westerns or romantic comedies, and a computer can then turn out something similar, but a computer didn't write those screenplays that are being fed into the machine in the first place, and I think you're going to enjoy things done by human more. As a fucking word salad that doesn't mean anything, right? Like you've seen movies, right? You've seen TV shows. There's a whole thing around sitcoms and the concept that they are formulaic. And again, you can say that such and such is by whatever metrics better than such and such. None of that matters in the capitalism. It only matters what is successful. And again, like I have 315 followers on this platform. There is an AI that does SpongeBob that has 100 times the number of followers that I do. Because you cannot predict what people will want. He is overvaluing while not understanding. I don't disagree that there will be a market for, as we've referred to it, artisanal art, things that are created by people. But like, think about when people talk about movies and TV shows that they don't like, right? Like one that takes a hit a lot is the MCU. Is there anything in there that couldn't be written by a sufficiently advanced AI? Is there some human aspect to it? Right? Like the concept of empathy, and as it relates to I'm monologuing, so I should probably make big. Get the big head about it. The concept of empathy in the way, like there's things that we teach people, right? They're the social norms that we impart onto other people who live in our particular society. Why can't those be imparted into the AI? You don't have a reason. You just don't think it can be done. You're just assuming that it can't be done. It can be done. All right, one last piece, and then we'll raid out of here and like that. Let me switch back to the thing. Generative AI set to affect 300 million jobs across major economies. Could boost GDP by 7%, but also risk creating significant disruption. This is from the leftists over at Goldman Sachs. Generative AI systems such as ChatGPT could spark a productivity boom. And productivity, by the way, is a capitalist word. It's a business word. Humans aren't necessarily designed to be productive. They're only productive through a particular lens. But anyways, productivity boom that would eventually raise annual global gross domestic product by 7% over a 10-year period. I think that's underappreciating it. But if the technology lives up to its promise, it would also bring significant disruption to the labor market, exposing the equivalent of 300 million full-time workers across big economies to automation. Lawyers and administrative staff would be among those at greatest risk of becoming redundant. And they, like lawyers, right? Just the nature of that is a job that, like, would be assumed is protected from automation, and it is not. Roughly 2/3 of the jobs in the US and Europe are exposed to some degree of AI automation based on data on the tasks typically performed in thousands of occupations. And this is the white collar exposure to software. This says nothing about what the robots can do. In the US, this should apply to 63% of the workforce, they calculated. Most people would see less than half of their workload automated and would probably continue in their jobs with some of their time freed up for more productive activities. Right? Like, and again, productive, we can look at the graph, you've seen it a million times. Productivity go up, 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 wages stagnate. In the US, this should apply to 63% of the workforce, they calculated. A further 30% working in physical or outdoor jobs would be ineffective, although their work might be susceptible to other forms of automation. But about 7% of U.S. workers are in jobs where at least half of their tasks could be done by generative AI and vulnerable to replacement. And I think that is an incredibly low number based on what I know about capitalism. The report will stoke debate over the potential of AI technologies, both to revive the rich world's flagging productivity growth, and to create a new class of dispossessed white-collar workers who risk suffering a similar fate to that of manufacturing workers in the 1980s. And then it talks about the OpenAI 80%, 10% paper. And then we're talking about criminality again. Goldman said that if corporate investment in AI continued to grow at a similar pace to software investment in the 1990s, U.S. investment alone could approach 1% of U.S. GDP by 2030. And I think that's a low number. Right? Again, wherever that other article is, somebody tossed $150 billion at something that is basically just an entertainment chatbot. They did not envisage. The Goldman estimates are based on an analysis of U.S. and European data on the tasks typically performed in thousands of different occupations. You said this already. The researchers assumed that the AI will be capable of tasks such as completing tax returns for small businesses, evaluating a complex insurance claim, or documenting the results of a crime scene investigation. They did not envisage AI being adopted for more sensitive tasks, such as making a court ruling. Do we need to go back and look at the algorithm that they are using to judge whether or not people are expected to reoffend and how that influences, the sentencing and bail? Like, this is already happening. Checking the status of a patient in critical care, or studying international tax laws. They're fooling themselves. I got nothing. They're fooling themselves. All right. It has been a pleasure as always. Doom, 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 doom. I am going to wrangle you all, however many of you are left. God damn it. I appreciate everybody. Shout out to the people on watching me on the VOD. Make sure you're here next week. Next week is going to be wild. We are going to get into some serious philosophical, speculative. We're going to talk about life. We're going to talk about religion. We're going to talk about a variety of different things. And they are all going to relate to AI. So be here. 2 viewers. Good thing I'm not trying to use this to pay the bills. Appreciate you, Letty. And viewer number 2. Drink your water. Take your meds. Eat something. Choggy loves you. So do I.